Hello, Neil's Harbors fans. This is going to be a pretty quick video as most of these are straight sets. Just sort of was mentioning the Air Base Dupuis, where major Coast Guard, major regional aircraft, of which there's a few, mostly a Coast Guard station, but this is where you would find a heavy helicopter like set 60013. And as you can see, there's two of them here, a little diver, and you can see the little yellow rescue basket in there. I added the yellow rescue basket to the set, otherwise I didn't touch it at all. Just reminds me of the days of the old Sea King helicopters, just looks really butch, really tough, and sort of a nostalgic salute to my childhood of what I knew to be American Coast Guard and Canadian, actually, military aircraft. I just love the shape. You know, Seahawks are great, but there was just something a little bit more butch, if I can use that word, about that shape. So those are the sets. I think they made an appearance in the videos for sure, but I just wanted to sort of let you know that I loved it so much I bought two of them and hoped that somewhere in my videos I could actually shoot two of them at the same time in a big rescue scene. It just sort of never came to pass. A couple of things that were just emergency videos. A lot of setup but without a lot of payoff, and they're straight sets. They're not mocks, they're not creation. They've just sort of been like, here's a bunch of Lego sets, here's a video of it. It'll last 8 seconds. So I didn't really see the point of continuing with that. However, I'm going to just sort of pan over here to one of my other mocks. As you can see, in fact, maybe what I will do, I'll bring that mock forward. It's a little unstable, so I have to be very, very careful because it was difficult. I know what you were thinking. Did I get this from the Coast Guard set with the float plane 60015? Most of the pieces came from that. This is actually like the U.S. military Sentry aircraft. Its job is just to go out and search. It's filled with equipment, radars, sonars, special aerial equipment. It's a communications plane. It's a coordinator plane. There's only one at Dupuis. There's only one in existence for the all-nation of Union. It's a very sophisticated electronic not war aircraft, but a rescue aircraft. And I even kept sort of the number 60015 on it, because I had a spare, and that's what I did. Even though you're going to see that same number on the other aircraft that would be stationed at Dupuis. That is, in fact, a Coast Guard aircraft. Just crashed my planes together there for you. Hopefully there aren't too many casualties. And I'll just bring that over. Straight set again. But I, of course, modified it so that you can see that it's call number. I just bring that up to the light. I just eliminated the 5. Why a float plane? There's no Coast Guard float planes. No modern Coast Guard float planes. No. But for guidance, they actually have a purpose. It is a polar region. It is a coniferous region. It is a mountainous region. It is a water region. It is an island region. Sometimes the only aircraft that you can move around is a float plane. And if you go to places like British Columbia, you'll find there's plenty of private air services that use float planes. And I didn't see why the government wouldn't do the same thing. There were national parks where enforcement would be in effect, pollution checks, wildlife checks, navigational problems, rescuing people that ventured too far out onto one of these islands, and aircraft would be the only sort of way to get to them. And you'd say, well, why wouldn't they just use the helicopters? It's mostly a question of range, or just flexibility, or even just logistical support. A lot more equipment can be carried by the float plane. And no, there isn't a lot of them at Dupuis. There's only 2. But they're still being used, and sometimes even go far into the north in the summertime, in the springtime. Let's be honest, mostly summertime. Sort of to help with national projects with the people that live deep in the north. So that was another aircraft that we would have found at Dupuis. And that is the end of the Coast Guard department. We talked a little bit about the police plane being in Dupuis, and I've showed that to you before, so I'm not going to show you that to you again. But as you also know, I copied it directly from this set. I'll pull him into the spotlight here. And this, of course, is the set 60016. It is an ambulance plane. It is just the set. I haven't done anything to this at all. Why? you might be asking. There's no such thing as an ambulance. But again, a question of the region. It would be the only medical transport that could get people from the far north to a more, sort of well-developed and well-financed and better-equipped hospital. And the last thing I just want to mention, because I know this has nothing to do with airfields, but it was something that I really enjoyed. This little ambulance here, of course, is from the introductory set 600. I do believe it's 60. Yeah, that's it, 60023. Straight build. It's from that set. It's an introduction set. It had a cop bike, an ambulance. We saw the little rescue truck when we did the fire series, the little tiny fire truck with the little black, sort of gray doors inside. Only one problem. I couldn't find the set again. So I took 2 or 3 other ambulance sets and made the nearest mock I could. This was from several other ambulance sets that I had. Came with hospitals, came individually. They were older sets. But I liked the idea of one of the regional ambulances, and I did use this. The lights were slightly different. Fenders slightly different. The paint scheme. Even the model of the truck, even the hood size is slightly different. So maybe this is an older model ambulance. Stuck out in the boonies, hasn't been upgraded and it's not as quite up to date as maybe some of the city ambulances would be. Or maybe this is the new ambulance on the right. But I like the idea of there being more or less the same colors. And the ambulance service in guidance is regional. It's like the cops. Money and how they're financed all comes from the region / province / state. They pay for all that, and then they distribute it as they need it around to community hospitals. And that's where the ambulances sort of come from. And it's also a bit of a steal for my home province, which also uses a regional ambulance system. All the ambulances are the same throughout the province. They don't change colors from city to city. They don't change colors from county to county. They're all from one area, one sort of thing. Now, the last thing, I did not know where my videos were going to go. I did not know how big my scenes, my plots would be. And every chance I had to kind of not throw stuff away and maybe actually use it as a set one day. This is an ambulance from a hospital set, and I will not lie to you. I can't remember what hospital set that was. I'm sure you can look it up online. But I just loved the helicopter, and so I built it. And so I kept it. But at Dupuis, this would have been sort of known as a reserve. It's in mothballs. This equipment is ready to go sort of in 24 hours notice. If it was a mega forest fire emergency and they needed extra airlift power, they'd bring this back into service. But that all changed, and what happened was the region, the National Forest Service, the Regional Ambulance Service, they sort of got together, the 2 regional services, and said, we need a helicopter that's more flexible. It's got to be able to fight fires. It's got to be able to rescue people. It has to be an ambulance. It needs to do 3 jobs, and we can save a lot of money. And that was how the SEAL program started, not the American Navy military SEAL program. It was just Section Emergency Airlift Program. And anytime you needed a helicopter to do 3 different jobs, ambulance, fighting a forest fire, and rescue, multi-skilled team members were sort of assembled into those helicopters in a very elite program. Ex-paramedics, ex-pilots, ex-Coast Guard pilots sort of thing, ex-military pilots. There'd be ex-medics from the ambulance programs and the guys that flew those planes and things like that. And of course, an experienced forest fighter would be on board. So there'd be like a crew of 3 or 4 people that would handle those kind of emergency situations. And I know what you're asking. Well, where's the SEAL helicopter? The SEAL helicopter's coming. Calm down. We're going to do a forestry video, and I'm going to include it in that. But that's it. That's Dupuis. That's me. And I'm trying very hard to get all these videos done because my wife wants the room back, and to be quite frank, so do I. So I hope you haven't got too many questions, but don't worry. I will set up some paperwork and some snapshots and you can just read those snapshots of all the paper and backgrounds of anything you might want to read about. So, I got a question about the cops. There'll be a picture for that. I got a picture about the Coast Guard. There'll be a picture. I got a picture. I got a question about the military. Don't worry, it's coming. You guys are very impatient. All right, that's it. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.